Imagine this. You're completely absorbed, right? Maybe wrapping up a big project or just, unwinding. Everything feels normal. But beneath the surface, unseen, unheard, there's this digital ghost. It's quietly copying your passwords, maybe siphoning your financial data, or worse, locking down your entire system, holding your digital life hostage until you pay up. Look, this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. It's the daily reality of our connected world. So today we're taking a deep dive into the tools, the tactics used by those who attack our networks, and crucially, how you can become an essential guardian against these threats. Welcome to the deep dive. We cut through the noise, get you those critical insights from compelling sources. Our mission, give you that shortcut to being truly well-informed. And today, we're tackling something vital, network and computer attacks. We're pulling key insights directly from Chapter 3, Network and Computer Attacks in Hands-on Ethical Hacking and Network Defense, the 3rd edition. Now, before we really peel back the layers here, if you find this deep dive valuable, please consider liking, subscribing, maybe share it with someone who needs to level up their digital defenses. Seriously, your support means you won't miss those insider tips that could genuinely save your career, your data, maybe even just your peace of mind someday. All right, let's unpack this. When we talk digital threats, most people, their mind jumps straight to viruses. That's that old term, right? Conjures images of a slow, glitchy computer. But the truth is, our sources show a much broader, way more sophisticated landscape.
Yeah, what's really critical to understand here is that malicious software, or malware, that's the actual umbrella term, it covers so much more than just a virus. We're talking viruses, yeah, but also worms, Trojan programs, spyware, adware, a whole bunch of stuff. And the real insight isn't just knowing the names. It's understanding how those subtle differences dictate exactly how they spread, and crucially, what specific defenses will actually work against them. And the main goal, that's shifted big time. It used to be maybe ego, or just causing trouble. Now, it's overwhelmingly about making money. Direct ransoms, selling stolen data, manipulating systems for profit. That's the game now. And this shift, it means attackers are smarter, more persistent, and frankly, just more dangerous. And it's not just your desktop anymore. If it's got a chip and connects to the internet, it's potentially vulnerable. Malware targets, they've expanded way beyond just Windows, Linux, Mac OS. Attackers are building specific stuff for tablets, smartphones, your smart fridge, maybe.
Wow, even industrial systems too.
Absolutely. Industrial control systems. It just shows how deep this digital life goes and how pervasive the threats really are.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty then. These different malware types. Viruses, we hear about them all the time. But what's the defining thing that sets them apart? And how has that changed with things like ransomware?
Right. A virus, think of it like a digital parasite. It can't really operate alone. It needs to hitch a ride on an executable file, a program. It needs a host to replicate and spread. So you run an infected program, bam, the virus springs to life. Now, what's really terrifying today in that virus family is ransomware. This isn't just messing up files. It locks down your entire system, encrypts your data, holds it hostage until you pay.
That's a direct assault.
Exactly. On your digital life, your business. The way we fight these is with virus signatures, these unique digital fingerprints. Antivirus software uses databases full of these signatures to spot known threats. And this isn't just theory, right? It really underlines why keeping your security software updated is absolutely non-negotiable. It's fundamental network defense.
Like having the latest wanted poster for the bad guys.
Precisely. An outdated one isn't going to help you catch much.
But the threat isn't always these standalone programs, is it? Sometimes the danger is hiding in plain sight, like in Office documents, macro viruses.
Exactly. These are particularly sneaky because they're encoded as macros inside programs that use a macro language. Think Visual Basic for applications, VBA, in Microsoft Office. Macros themselves, they're just lists of commands. Super useful for automating tasks, actually.
Yeah, I use them sometimes.
Right. But the danger is how easily even non-programmers can create malicious ones that can do destructive things, like deleting files the second you open a document. It's a perfect example of how a legit useful feature can be turned into a weapon if users aren't careful or systems aren't locked down properly.
Okay, moving on. Worms. Unlike viruses, the source says worms replicate and spread without needing a host program. What does that mean practically?
It means they can spread incredibly fast, independently. When we say fast, think about the Morris worm back in '88, one of the earliest big ones. It basically brought a huge chunk of the early internet to its knees just by self-replicating, jumping from machine to machine.
Wow.
Yeah, it really highlights a key hacker method, how malicious code can just spread on its own exponentially overwhelming networks. Understanding that kind of spread is vital when you're designing network defenses. It's not just one machine, it's like containing a digital wildfire.
Then there are Trojan programs.
Hmm.
These sound really deceptive, disguised as something normal, maybe even something you want. You think you're getting a cool new game, a helpful tool, but secretly something else is getting installed.
And that's the trick, right? That hidden payload. It could be a rootkit or a backdoor. A rootkit. It buries itself deep in your system, gives attackers almost undetectable, total control. They basically become the administrator, the root.
Okay, that's bad.
And a backdoor, that's like leaving a secret key behind, so they can just waltz back into your system whenever they feel like it, even if you think you've secured things. Now, many Trojans try using uncommon network ports, which, a firewall might catch, but the smarter ones, they use common ports, like for web traffic, HTTP, or DNS lookups.
If they blend in.
Exactly. They blend in with normal traffic, making them much harder for traditional firewalls to spot. Which points to needing, well, a multi-layered defense, modern network protection systems.
And finally, let's talk about collecting info. Spyware and Adware. Spyware sounds pretty self-explanatory.
It is. Its goal is to spy, collect sensitive info, financial data, passwords, PINs. It can even log every single key you press. Keystroke logging.
Yikes.
Adware, though, is usually just about bombarding you with pop-up ads, often trying to figure out your shopping habits for targeted ads.
Annoying, but maybe less dangerous.
Well, maybe less directly damaging than spyware, stealing your bank details, sure. But the common issue with both. They seriously slow down your computer, they degrade performance, disrupt your work. And understanding how data gets collected, even for legit business intelligence, helps us protect against this unwanted harvesting. It's about security, performance, and privacy.
So, okay, we've got viruses, worms, Trojans, spyware, all this stuff. What does it mean for us? When you look at all these threats, where do we even start to fight back effectively? Is antivirus still the main thing?
We definitely have powerful tools. Antivirus is fundamental, no question. Relies on those updated signature files we talked about, but, and this is important, it's not a silver bullet for everything. For spyware and adware, for instance, our sources mention specialized software. Things like Spybot, Adware, they're crucial additions. And often they're free solutions, which is great for accessibility.
Good point.
Beyond software, firewalls, intrusion detection systems, IDS, is their essential network protection. Guardians at the digital gate, basically. Filtering traffic, alerting you to suspicious activity. Think of it like castle defenses. Different walls, different guards for different threats.
For all the talk about tech firewalls, software, what really struck me in this deep dive was finding out that maybe the most critical layer of defense isn't digital at all. It's us. Humans. Our own knowledge, our awareness. That's a critical line of defense, maybe the most critical. You are the ultimate firewall.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Things like structural training, regular security update emails, simple but incredibly effective for bolstering that human firewall. It's vital that users understand why it's important to update signatures immediately, not just for their machine, but for the whole network. And this brings up a really important point for anyone going into cybersecurity. Our role as security professionals, it's not to instill fear. That's unethical, actually. It goes against ethical hacking principles, like the OSSTMM's rules of engagement. Instead, it's about promoting awareness, building on what people already know, empowering them, not scaring them, understanding that approach. That's key for effective security reporting and navigating the legal and ethical side of penetration testing. We educate and secure, we don't frighten.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit from malware, let's look at more direct intrusions. These are intentional, targeted attacks, sometimes individuals, sometimes groups, aiming right at our systems. Before we get into specifics, what are the basic terms we need to really understand these attacks?
Right. Vocabulary is key here. To really grasp direct attacks, we need clear definitions. An attack is the attempt itself. A vulnerability is the weakness that makes it possible. And an exploit is the method, the tool used to take advantage of that weakness. That's kind of the bedrock for understanding network security and penetration testing concepts.
Attack, vulnerability, exploit. Got it.
Then we distinguish between network security guarding the whole infrastructure and computer security, focusing on individual systems. Related, sure, but different scopes, like city planning versus designing one building.
One of the most common and disruptive direct attacks is denial of service, DoS. Our source says it basically prevents legitimate users from accessing resources. Cripples the network, right? You can't get to your website, email, cloud stuff. A digital roadblock.
Exactly. And it's crucial to get this. For security pros, the goal isn't doing a DoS attack. That's the opposite of ethical. Our mission as security and penetration testers is simply to prove if such an attack could work on a system, so we can then fix it.
Right. Testing, not attacking.
Precisely. A classic example mentioned is a ping of death attack, basically sending a messed up ping request that can crash or freeze the target computer.
And taking that a step further, distributed denial of service, DDoS. Instead of one attacker, it's multiple devices hitting a target at once, often without the owners even knowing. These zombies or botnets, like a whole army hammering your door.
That's a good analogy. The symptoms are usually obvious. Big drop in bandwidth, network speeds just tank. Degradation of speed. But here's where it gets really cunning sometimes. Imagine an attacker launching a huge, noisy DDoS attack, a digital smokescreen. It draws all your attention, all your defenses over there. Meanwhile, the real attack, something much sneakier like stealing data, is happening quietly in the background, totally unnoticed. That's called a dark DDoS. That's a classic hacker method. Overwhelm and distract so they can operate freely somewhere else.
Let's talk buffer overflow attacks. Sounds technical, but sounds important too. The source says it's like an attacker trying to cram more data into a program's buffer, just a memory space, right, than it could hold. What happens then?
Well, think of a small cup, right? Designed for a fixed amount of water. Pour in too much, it overflows. In a program, when that buffer overflows, the extra data can spill into other memory areas. A smart attacker uses that overflow to inject their own malicious code. They basically trick the system into running their instructions.
And that gives them control.
Potentially, yes. When that code runs, it can elevate the attacker's privileges on the system, give them control they shouldn't have. And the best defense here, it's not just patching afterwards, it's training programming teams to build apps with security baked in from the start. Things like robust input validation, making sure the program never accepts more data than its buffer can handle. Security by design, not as an afterthought.
Okay, then we have interception and impersonation attacks. These are about getting access to or messing with communication, eavesdropping, for instance, using sniffing tools to intercept confidential info, maybe grab your login details.
Right, and the defense against that, our sources really emphasize forcing network gear and apps to use encrypted protocols and using valid trusted certificates. This is where cryptography is absolutely vital. It scrambles the data, so even if someone intercepts it, it's just gibberish without the right key.
Makes sense.
Building on that, you have man-in-the-middle attacks. The attacker literally puts themselves between two communicating parties, you and your bank, say. They can then relay messages, maybe alter them, making each side think they're talking directly to the legitimate other party.
Sneaky.
And network session hijacking takes it even further. Imagine you're on a secure call, right? An attacker manages to jump onto the line mid-conversation, perfectly mimics your friend's voice. You both keep talking, but you're actually talking to the imposter now.
Whoa.
That's basically session hijacking, taking over an active, trusted connection like a TCP session and fooling both ends. These are pretty advanced hacker methods. They really underscore why we need modern network protection systems that constantly verify identity and ensure the session hasn't been compromised.
You know, you might think cybersecurity is all just, well, digital stuff, code, firewalls, ones and zeros. But our deep dive, it really highlights how important the physical world is, the tangible stuff. Sometimes the biggest vulnerabilities are right under our noses, often overlooked. Physical security.
You're absolutely right. Take keyloggers, devices or software that capture every single keystroke. Software ones might behave like Trojans, maybe get picked up by antivirus, but hardware keyloggers. Tiny devices, sometimes plugged in between your keyboard and computer, you might not even notice them.
So how do you find those?
Random visual tests on site. Someone actually needs to physically look for them. And here's something really eye-opening our sources point out. People often assume locked doors are enough, but the fact is, an average person, with just a bit of practice, maybe a week or two, can learn to pick a standard deadbolt lock in under 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Seriously?
Seriously, experienced hackers, under 30 seconds.
Wow. Okay, so much for feeling secure behind a locked door.
Exactly. It might just be a minor speed bump for someone determined. So the solution? Implementing strong door locking mechanisms. Robust deadbolts, sure, or even better, security card solutions. They offer stronger physical barriers, plus they track who enters and exits when, providing an audit trail. And you can easily manage access for employees. This really drives home the importance of designing effective physical security. It's a crucial part of overall network defense.
Okay, so we've really covered a lot here. A deep dive into network and computer attacks, from that stealthy spread of malware viruses, worms, to direct assaults like DoS and buffer overflows, right down to those physical vulnerabilities we often forget about. I think the core takeaway is pretty clear. Understanding the enemy's tactics, their hacker methods, that's step one for effective defense, whether you're identifying vulnerabilities or putting robust network protection systems in place.
Yeah, we started by picturing that invisible digital ghost, right, working against your systems. And this deep dive, I hope, has shown that while the threats are definitely real and always evolving, the tools and the knowledge to fight back are just as powerful. You should now have a better handle on those intrusion security testing concepts used to really improve network defense. It gives you a crucial edge in this ongoing digital battle.
And if you found this deep dive valuable, please do make sure to like, subscribe, share it around. Your support genuinely helps us keep providing these kinds of crucial insights. Helps you stay well-informed, stay ahead of the curve in your career.
So here's something to reflect on. Given how cyber threats are constantly changing, evolving, how will you take ownership of your role in protecting digital assets, whether they're personal or professional? Think like a hacker, act like a guardian. Until next time, keep your systems and your ethics strong.